This is Professor G. Mohan from the Department of Mathematics, KSRCT. It's my privilege and honor to introduce today's session 2's chief guest, Dr. A. Kumaravel, Professor and Head Department of Mechanical Engineering, KS Rangasamy College of Technology, Tiruchengodu. In the year 1990, he completed his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering at the Government College of Engineering, Salem. In the year 2004, he completed his master's degree in industry tribology at IIT Madras. In the year 2008, he completed his doctoral degree in machine design at IIT. He is having 30 years of teaching experience as lecturer, assistant professor, and professor. He is very much interested to do research in the following areas, and they are buckling and vibration of smart materials, thermal stress analysis on smart materials, functionally graded materials, evaluation of mechanical properties of natural fiber, composites, and metal matrix composite materials, typological behavior of composite materials. He is a life member in various professional bodies, and some of them are Institution of Engineers, India, Indian Society of Technical Education, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, Indian Science Congress, and Tribology Society of India. And he is a founder and life member of Society for Failure Analysis. He has received 5 fellowships. He has undergone 28 summer training programs. He has received funds from several funding agencies to organize seminars and conferences. He has received Best Engineer Award in the year 2016 and Outstanding Reviewer in the same year 2016 June, and Best Reviewer in the year 2016, and received Best Academic Administrator from Top Engineers by the same year 2016. And he has received Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Scientific Excellence by the year 2016 from Marina Labs Research and Development, Chennai. He has presented his research findings in 26 international conferences and in 9 national conferences. Totally, he has published 41 research articles in international journals. He has been listed in the Marketplace Who is Who in the World for the year 2015 in the 32nd edition. And he is a reviewer for the following journals: International Journal of Renewable and Sustainable Energy, Fuel International Journal Elsevier, Carbohydrate Polymers International Journal, Journal of Control and Systems Engineering, Journal of Materials Research, Journal of Industrial Textiles, Journal of Fibers and Polymers. And he is an editorial and advisory board member in the following journals: International Journal of Advances in Engineering and Technology, International Journal of Science, Engineering and Applications. He has visited 2 countries, Australia and Singapore. He has total citations of 611, of which H index is 15 and I index is 16. He has guided 9 PhD scholars, and presently he is guiding 5 PhD scholars. On behalf of everyone, I invite today's chief guest, Dr. A. Kumaravel, to the session. And finally, I would like to thank the management, the principal, the head of the Department of Biotechnology Department of KSRCT, my dear colleagues, and organizers of NSF for giving me this opportunity. Thank you once again. And now I hand over the session to Dr. Kumaravel. Thank you, everyone.
Hello,
Dr. Maithili?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am there, sir. Sir, Kumaravel, sir, you can start the session, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So, first of all, I would like to thank Professor G. Mohan from Biotechnology, basically mathematics faculty, for introducing me in this forum. So, the virtual course on research methodology, which is jointly organized by the KS Rangasamy College of Technology and so Nature Science Foundation, Coimbatore. I think so. I thank the KS Rangasamy College of Technology and Nature Science Foundation for giving me an opportunity to present the research in mechanical engineering in the forum of the virtual course on research methodology. So also I would like to thank the management of KSR educational institutions. So line Dr. K.S. Rangasamy, MJF Chairman, Mr. R. Srinivasan, NM Dynamic Vice Chairman, and head of the institution, Dr. R. Gopalakrishnan, and the coordinators for giving me an opportunity to present the research in mechanical engineering for the diverse faculty members, because I never presented this kind of forum, because whenever I go for the presentation, so probably the participants will be the mechanical engineering or some related branch of engineering like mechatronics, like that. But so this is a diversified group which mix of all the participants from all the faculties like engineering, technology, and arts. So like that, it is a diversified group, and I am worrying about how to satisfy each and everyone. by presenting this the topic research in mechanical engineering. It is more relevant to the mechanical engineering. Still, I discussed with Professor Maithili, who is one of the coordinator, and so just she told that even though it is a diversified group, and then the participants are very much attentive, and they are very much fond of listening the new areas. So then I have some confidence to present the research in mechanical engineering. And so we know that this is comes under the topic of research methodology. And so before going to the topic, so I would like to have something like introduction about our journey. And joined in 1990 in the case for educational institutions, and I worked in the various positions in the various institutions in the case of educational institutions, and joined in the year 2008 as a professor and head in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, KS Rangasamy College of Technology. So this Department of Mechanical Engineering is started in the year 1994, which is a silver jubilee department, and we are having so silver jubilee activities through, even though this challenging period due to COVID-19, and so the autonomous status granted in the year 2007 for the KS Rangasamy College of Technology, and so after that, so we have the academic flexibility to design and frame the syllabus. So through our own, and so with that, what is the advantage of getting the autonomous status? So what I felt going through the journey from the year 2007 is, so then we have many things to do with a complete freedom. Like so nowadays we are using the choice-based credit system. We comes under the choice-based credit system. So which is more helpful for dynamically changing our syllabus based on the industry requirements. So and also then dynamically we can introduce the what are all the new research areas. So then that can be inculcated in the teaching learning process even for the undergraduate programs. But earlier days, and when we are studying the undergraduate programs, although we don't know about the research culture during the period of study. But so nowadays the students are they are very lucky, and they are going along with the teaching learning process inculcated by the research activities which is done by the various faculty members in the various domains. So and also the students are getting benefited for doing the project work with the research areas. So then it will be more better than the conventional teaching learning process. And we have introduced the 150 courses also. Then the students can do 150 courses. If they complete 130 courses, they can able to waiver in the elective course, which is in the 8th semester. Then maximum of 2 courses can be waived. So by doing the 130 courses and going for the industry internship, and and then self-study courses like that. And also then we have the open elective courses. For the students that taking the courses from the other departments, which is an interdisciplinary courses, which is the more relevant for nowadays, because the AICT also insisted that. So then we have to do something like we have to offer the open elective courses, so the students can able to learn the interdisciplinary courses, and also they can do the projects. So because the students nowadays are motivated to become an entrepreneur rather than going for the job, and the students are also interested in starting the startups. So that the startups comes from what they are doing their project work, and then they can able to innovate some new products. And with that product, they can apply for the patent, and they come up with the something like the environmentally clean products which can be introduced in the society. So, so these are all the benefits of doing things in the recent changes in the academics. So with that we can start the course relevance in mechanical engineering. So before that, then what is a research and research methodology? Then So the definition is based on the Herbert Davis research is a systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict, and control the observed phenomena. And the methods are there are two methods and implemented inductive methods and the deductive methods. In the inductive methods, we analyze the observed event and associated with the quality of qualitative research. So whereas in the deductive methods, we can verify the observed event, and so this is associated with the quantitative research. And so then it is easy for. Are you able to hear me? Voice is not clear. Just a minute.
We can hear you, sir. Sir?
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
So then, so the types of research, if you, I think this may be gone through in the previous, from the previous speakers, and then we have the basic research, which is normally we do, then this will not yield any innovation kind of part. This only we have collected the data to enhance the knowledge, and then we can do some simple experiments in the laboratory. That is what we can do. So that it is called as the basic research. And then when you go for the applied research, then we analyze and solve some real-time problems. So that will help you for the practical problems to be solved in the way of scientific methods. And the example for the applied finding a specific disease, and then we can basically this science and technology can be applied in the basic applied research, and then we can do some innovative solving the real-time problems. And then the third one is the problem-oriented research. So which is conducted to understand the exact nature of the problem, find out the relevant solutions. So then the example for the problem-oriented research is revenue of for a company has decreased by 1%. So then we can analyze what parameters are influencing the reduction of the production rate, and then based on the different parameters, we can understand the nature of the problem, and we can apply some techniques to solve the problem and get the solution. So which is relevant to the problem oriented research. And then the problem solving research is we are conducting by companies to understand and resolve their own problems, and it is applied to applied research is to find the solution to the existing problems. So this is what the problem solving research we talk about. And then qualitative research and quantitative research. In the qualitative research, we have the process is about the inquiry, helps to create in-depth understanding of the problems or issues in their natural settings, and this we are not using any statistical method in the qualitative research, whereas we can take some surveys and analyze, and then we can get some in-depth understanding of the problems. Whereas in the quantitative research, then we have the structured way of collecting the data, like a primary data and the secondary data, and analyzing it to draw the solutions, and then which is used the computational and the statistical techniques can be used in the collection of data and collection and analyzing the data. So for the quantitative research. So the research methodology is the definition for the research methodologies involve the learning of the various techniques that can be used in the conduct of research and in the conduct of tests, experiments, surveys, and theoretical studies. So then it is a systematic way to solve the problem. We can identify a systematic way to solve the problems, and it is a science of studying how the research is to be carried out, and then what kind of methodologies we are going to use for completing the research, that is getting the solution for the research problems. And also it aims to give the work plan of the research. This research methodology will give, so then we can make a work plan of the research. Accordingly we can apply, and then we can find out the problem and solving the problems by using the various research tool techniques. So this is for the research, the methodology. Then why we are talking about the research methodology is whenever you are going to something like identifying the problem or identifying the problem in the real world, and then how we are going to approach the problem to solve in the scientific way. What kind of methodologies or tool techniques can be used for solving those problems, and then what is the systematic way we have to follow. So that is why the research methodology is talked about, and then every researcher should know or should study the research methodology course to complete their research career in the right path. So that is what we have to do that with the research methodology. So apart from that, then we are coming to the topic called the research in the mechanical engineering. So probably how many of you know about in depth about the mechanical engineering, but if we can take away through something like what is the recent that the problems are in the related to the mechanical engineering, and then what kind of techniques then they are going to use for solving the problems. And then just I will orally cover the rest areas of the mechanical engineering. So with that, so I am going to talk about only the materials, because my field is only related to the materials, that is specifically for the composite materials. So then I think so for an hour, and then I will cover about the materials engineering with the very fundamental basics. It is not going for something like a mathematical modeling and solving the problem. Just I will throw a light on that is recent technology development in the mechanical engineering, that too in the materials engineering. So here in the mechanical engineering is concerned, the trust areas like it is something like robotics and automation. So it is nowadays it is a booming, and it is a nationally important course. This robotics and automation, and so the renewable and sustainable energy also it is more attention, giving the attention in the recent days. And this composite, of course, you know that the many years that research is going on for using the composite materials and replacing with the conventional steel materials, so that we can able to reduce the weight and increase the efficiency of any systems, the mechanical system. So in that way, then the composite materials are used, and so this NVH and the stress analysis is it is a hot field, because of this noise, vibration, harshness is the prime problem solving area. So in the field of something like automobile industry, they are vigorously doing the research in the noise, vibration, and harshness. I think you know that you see that you felt somewhere we traveled in the old cars like Ambassador and all, and then see how much noise is coming inside the cabin. And so now we use completely modernized cars, so then you see that there is no noise coming from the engine to the cabin. So then the very hot field in the automobile industry, this noise and vibration. And also then this stress analysis, whenever we have something, when you are going to reduce the weight, and then so then we have to identify some materials, and then for that materials, and then we do some structural analysis, and this kind of work is it is going nowadays. And you see thermal and fluidic engineering also, it is another kind of engineering field in the mechanical engineering. And then basically there are three domains, major domains are in mechanical engineering, like design, thermal engineering, under the manufacturing side. So this comes under the thermal engineering domain. So then we see the computational fluid dynamics, and so there are many problems are to solve in the thermal and fluidic engineering, and then in the use of IC engines, and then modifying the IC engines, and then the flow of the air fuel mixture which is in the engine block. So there are so many kind of research areas are available in the thermal and fluidic engineering and agro equipment solutions. So this is very important nowadays. Then we need to identify some good equipment for the mechanization for the agricultural engineering. So then the government also then more focus on developing the agricultural field. We have the lot of scope in the agro equipment that is solutions also. Then we can work on it. And then of course automobile and transportation engineering. You see that the logistics and what kind of new methods we are incorporating in the logistic field, and also in the automobile you see that so in the light motor vehicles, so there are a lot of changes maybe in the future within the 5 years down the line. You can see that so unmanned cars like connected car. So these kind of concepts are more focusing on that. So for that, so now the mechanical engineering, the conventional mechanical engineering courses will not help you to do or sustain in the jobs like in the automobile industry or other automation industries, because it is more relevant with the interdisciplinary courses also involved. So not only for mechanical engineering courses, but also we need to study something like a programming courses and something like kind of LabVIEW and IoT and microprocessor and microcontroller and communication system that is interconnected with the mechanical components. So then we need, as a mechanical engineer or any other engineers, should know about basics of all the engineering courses, and then there is a in-depth knowledge about their core field. So that is what the industry is looking for nowadays. And so then we need to work on the various fields, not only in the mechanical engineering, and also we have to concentrate on the electronics, computer science engineering, electrical engineering, and then you see that the electric vehicle is emerging now, and so people are talking about EV and electric vehicles, and then we should know about the what is called so the electrical drives and controls, which is a major component in the electric vehicles, and also the electronic components are involved integrated with the mechanical components. So there are a lot of scope in the automobile and the transportation industry also. So these are all the thrust areas in the mechanical engineering for doing the research and getting some solving the real-time problems in the society. So which will throw some light on this, and but it is not limited to this domain, and also then other domains also we have the opportunity to work on that. And this is the major thrust areas in the mechanical engineering nowadays. So now we talk about the industrial evolutions. We know that industry 1.0, and then how it transforms to from the so the previous years 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0. And then when you compare with the 3.0 and 4.0, 3.0, then we have automation, computer electronics we have used for the manufacturing and other kind of industries. And now this industry 4.0 is covering what we have talked about the industry interdisciplinary courses. So it is this industry 4.0 is involves all kind of courses, and then every engineer should study the other department courses also. So for cyber physical system, we need to understand about the computer science engineering and cyber security. So cloud computing, data analysis and data mining. So these kind of courses we should know. So in this relevant to the industry 4.0, and then the Internet of Things also very important, networks. And you see that industry 5.0, then computer aided automation and CAD/CAM is playing the major role in that. And industry 6.0 then comes under the sensor robotic manufacturing with the AI. So because so now you see that the national important courses are artificial intelligence, robotics and automation, and the Internet of Things, and the data analytics. So these kind of courses nowadays are very booming now, and also then lot of scope for doing the research in that. So then we need to work on that based on the technology changes. So this is what the transformation taking place in the particularly when we talk about the mechanical engineering, so the design and the manufacturing areas, so the changes in the technology side. This is the smart factory with the general properties appeared in the industry 4.0. You see here, so there is a real-time machine communication, and then there is a complex design, and then we have the collaborative manufacturing, and then we send instant analytics, that is the data. We have a huge data are recovered from the manufacturing side and any other field, and those raw data can be structured, and then we have to analyze those data, and then the data analytics is playing the major role. So with that, this cloud computing and big data analytics, and then the Internet of Things are playing the major role, and then the stock optimization in the materials handling, and then the supply chain management, and then what are all the advanced materials so which is involved in the process now. Then additive manufacturing is another area nowadays. Then completely the complex machine components are very difficult to manufacture with the conventional manufacturing systems. And then for that, it is this 3D printer nowadays, it is replacing so those problems. And so only thing we need to improve the process, and for getting the right products through the 3D additive manufacturing, that is the 3D printing, and then customize the products. The autonomous robots also, it is the another area. So then smart logistics. So this is the smart factory related to the industry 4.0. So, so when talk about in the industry 4.0, then the advanced materials. So I am working on the somewhere around the smart materials. So with that, I start with the type of materials which is nowadays in the current era we are using metal, ceramic, polymer, composites, semiconductors, electronic, optical materials, glass materials, wood. So then the materials development based on the related to the environmental concern, and so the biomedicine, energy, the advanced manufacturing system. Then we have different category of materials: nanostructured materials, functional surfaces and coating, advanced functional materials, micro and nano device materials, active and smart materials. So then I am working on the materials and smart materials during my PhD program, and so now I am working on the composite materials, that too the natural fiber reinforced composite materials. My scholar is working on the natural fiber composite. Group of scholars are working on the natural fiber reinforced composite materials, and that will show. It will be shown in the coming slides, future slides. And here the smart materials is concerned, that is the active material. So there will be a energy transformation from one phase to the another phase. So this active material is called as the smart materials, and then you have the mechanical energy and the electric energy. So the smart material have something like additional quality within the material. So when you compare with the conventional materials, okay. So in the one form, so this when you apply the mechanical energy, then you will get the electrical energy, or you apply the electrical energy or electric field, and then the material have the deformation within it, and that is called as the so there is a change in the stress and the strain, that is the mechanical energy. So these research materials for additive manufacturing, there are four category of materials: metal, smart materials, special materials, and then the hydraulics and electronics. So nowadays the 3D printer with metal also the people are doing for getting the machine components. And when you talk about the metals, these are all the conventional metals, materials and alloys. And then when we talk about the smart material, there is a piezoelectric materials, safe memory alloy, and then safe memory polymers. And then the special materials are concrete, textile, food, and lunar dust materials, hydraulics and electronics, conductives, solid liquid printing, and then multi-material printing. So the modern and the smart materials are the composite materials, usually combination of the two or more separate materials. We use it and then get the composite materials which is bonded together. And when you talk about the smart materials, that materials react to changes in the environment. So I told that when you apply the electric field on the material, then you get the mechanical energy, and when you apply the mechanical load, then you will get the electric field. So it is the material will react based on the changes in the environment. Even if the temperature changes, then in the smart materials, when due to the temperature change, and then there will be a electric field, potential, that is voltage, that is electric potential will be generated within the material. And high performance materials, these all advanced materials. So like the example for the high performance materials is these materials have some special properties which may be used in the high temperature environment, and so then it should be very light and also it will be very strong. So with that motto, then the high performance materials can be developed. We can concentrate on either in the composite material like a fiber reinforcement, and we can work on the smart materials, and for various applications. I will show you the application which is we normally use it in the real world, and the high performance materials like in the nuclear reactor. So there are many fields, or everywhere it is mechanical.
चलो मेसेज आया तो फिर करता हूं. चलो
कडे सर झाले रिकामे
Hello,
बिझी
hello.
Hello.
Participants,
आमच्या
can you
2 मिनिट मिळतील का मला
mute your mic?
सर
Sir, you can go ahead, sir.
Okay.
We will mute. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So when you're coming to the smart materials, so the smart materials are that they have one or more properties, and they can be significantly altered in a controlled fashion by the external stimuli. These external stimuli are the mechanical load applied on the structure, and then there is a temperature change in the environment. It will respond with respect to change in the temperature, and then if based on the moisture also, then it will react. This material will react, and based on applying the pH value, that pH changes in the pH value, or applied the electric and the magnetic field. So there will be a reaction within the material by applying the external loads. So like stress, temperature, moisture, and all. So example for the smart materials are the piezoelectric materials, and then the safe memory alloys, magnetorheological fluids, chromogenic materials. I will see one by one, and the piezoelectric materials. So you see that in the right hand side. So these are all the kind of cantilever plate. One end is fixed, and then the other end is applied. The hand pressure is applied on the free end. You see that this material have the additional quality which generate the electric field when you are going to give the pressure on the free end. So this is the additional quality, and then vice versa also it will react. When you apply the electric field, there will be a deformation in the material itself. There is a change in this due to the change in the strain. So you see here there is a direct effect and the converse effect. One is the direct effect. You can apply the load, and then there is a deformation which will generate the what is called electricity. That is a positive and negative. That is a potential. They change in potential. And in the converse effect, you see apply this red line shows the input, and then green line shows the output. When you in the converse effect, when you see that you apply the electric field, there is a elongation within the material, and also when you change the polarity, and then you will have the decrease in the dimension of the material also. So this react with respect to the applied electric field. So the molecular structure of the piezoelectric material produces a coupling between the mechanical stress and the electric field, which will give this direct and the converse effect. The piezoelectrics are the materials that can create the electricity when subjected to your mechanical stress. So they will also work in the reverse, generating a strain by the application of the electric field. The application of the piezoelectric materials, so mainly it is used for the transducers, sensors, and actuators. The commercial applications are the ultrasonic equipments, microphones, spark lighters, and dance floors, any highway traffic areas, etc. So you see that these are all some of the applications when we are going to use the piezoelectric materials. And yeah, so this one normally we use it, and then sometimes we don't know how it works. So when you press here, and then what will happen is that there will be a fire within the electric lighter. So the principle is you have the piezoelectric element in the unit. Okay, so when you are going to press this piezoelectric element, that means we are applying the strain on the piezoelectric element. So due to changes within the piezoelectric material, so there will be a electric generation due to this the gap between the two electrodes. So there will be a fire it is creating between these two poles. So this is the principle here. Here we are using the piezoelectric element. So one is the fixed element, another is the roller. So there will be a roller within the gas lighter. So when you press this, that roller also rotate inside the systems. So that roller will contact with the piezoelectric element. So that will give some strain on that. So due to that, there will be a spark is produced between this gas. So then the gas is filled within the gas lighter, and then due to that, then the fire is coming out from the gas lighter. So it is a basic principle. Then the piezoelectric crystals or elements are used to generate the gas lighter. So this gas lighter or cigarette lighter. So then we are using the piezoelectric element, and then you see in the bottom, then we can make it as a charging pad. So we have the crosswalk in the road, okay, and so we have the runway in the ground. So that may be converted as a charging pad. So what we have to do that, then we can lay down the piezoelectric crystals on the floors. So in the crosswalk or wherever there is wherever the vibration is there, and then we can put the smart materials element, that is the piezoelectric element, and then you can get the voltage. So that is what the basic concept is here. So here the charging pad under the crosswalk collect the energy from the vibrations. When we walk during this crossing the roads, and then we are placing the piezoelectric elements in the floor, so automatically, so there will be a strain when your foot is applied, pressure is applied on the floor, then there will be a mechanical load applied on the piezoelectric element. So that will generate the electric potential that can be stored in the battery, when we can make it use for charging the mobile phones or other kind of appliances. So like that we can use it. Then you see in the right hand side the shoes, okay, and then how the piezoelectric elements are placed inside the bottom of the shoe, and so you have the two layers in between, and then you are placing the piezoelectric element, and then connected with the electric storage cell, and so then it is a compact, you can make it as a compact in the bottom of the shoe, okay. And so whenever you walk, and then there will be load is applied on the shoe, and then due to change in the due to applied load, the piezoelectric element change its dimensions due to change in the strain, and then the electric potential is generated. So that can be stored in the electric storage cell. That can be later on we can take it for the charging of mobile phones and iPods like that, and then we can use it. So the another example for when you are going to use the piezoelectric material is that is bat. So to reduce the piezoelectric materials are incorporated in the handle, and so to reduce the shock wave which is produced when player hits the ball. So what will happen is then when hits the ball, and then the shock will transmit to the handle, and so those mechanical stresses are applied in the piezoelectric element, and then so those elements can be used as an actuator, so that you can able to reduce the shock wave when you are going to hit the ball. So in that way we can are able to reduce the shock by introducing the piezoelectric elements in the that is handle of the bat. So based on the polling direction, and so here in the piezoelectric material, the polling direction is very much important. Okay, so the third direction is the polling direction, and so 1, 2 are the isotropic case, and the third one is in the non-isotropic case. So that it is a transversely isotropic case for some materials, and based on that, then the electric potential is generated. So this is another example. So you see here, wherever you have the excitations and the vibrations are there, and then you can use the piezoelectric elements. You see that building and bridge of oscillations. Okay, and then you can place the piezoelectric element in the bridges. So whenever the vehicle running over the bridge, or when the humans are walking on the bridge, so there will be an vibration. So due to those vibrations, these piezoelectric elements get strained, and then the electric potential is generated, and then those potential can be stored in the energy storage cell. So then the vehicle vibrations also. So here also then wherever you have the maximum vibrations, you are able to identify, and then you can place those piezoelectric elements, and then you can get the electric potential. And the human motion, here I told that whenever you can use the within the shoes, you can incorporate the piezoelectric element, you can able to get the thing. So the principle is here you have the beam, one end is fixed, the other end is free. Whenever you apply the load on the free end, then you have the electric potential within the structure, because so this the beam is made up of some conventional material. So over that beam surfaces you can place the piezoelectric elements. So the patch is pasted on the base element, base metal. So whenever you have the applied the load, there will be changes, the dimension changes in the material. So then the material get the piezoelectric element get strained, and then generate a potential. And also the tire condition monitoring, and then the health monitoring also, then we can able to use these smart materials. You see in the car door panel, to reduce the noise from the engine cabin to engine cabin, you can able to place the materials, piezoelectric batch elements in the cover, and you can able to reduce the noise. So where then the biomedical applications, these piezoelectric materials, so you can use it for the tissue engineering, you can use it for the microfluidic system, you can use it for the drug delivery, and then medical device instrumentation we are using. So these are smart materials for, these are all the smart materials for the biomedical applications. And so this is another kind of application in the gym and workplace. So when the treadmill, so you can use these piezoelectric elements on the top surface of the belt, and then whenever you use the treadmill, and then there will be a running on, so that the footprints are applying the low pressure on the piezoelectric element, you can able to generate the voltage. And also then workplaces, you are sitting on the chair, and then you can piezoelectric crystals are maybe laid in the chairs for storing the energy. And so then shoulder back, when you are going to use the shoulder back, in the shoulder back strips, then you can place the piezoelectric element, and then whenever you use the shoulder back, and then when we are walking, and then there will be a movement, up and down movement of the back on your shoulder. So due to that up and down movement, and then you will have the vibration on the strips, and then the pressure that load is applied on the piezoelectric element, and then you will get the energy. Then another kind of interesting thing is the computer keyboard. So you have the keys on the computer keyboard. So whenever you are going to type or use the keyboard, so each and every that the piezoelectric element is placed on bottom of each and every key. So then the crystals, whenever you press the key, and then the crystals are get strained, and then it will generate the electricity. So for every key pressure, the vibrations are created. Due to that, then there will be pressure energy is applied on the piezoelectric element. You can able to get the electricity. So where we are going to use in the civil structures, so probably you can use the piezoelectric elements within the concrete, and then you can able to identify the damage. If there is any crack that propagates within the structure, and then there will be a change in the dimension when once the crack is initiated within the structure. So it will, what will happen is once the pressure is applied on the element, automatically then you will get the voltage. So maybe you have the system, so like online monitoring also you can do that. So those systems are connected with the system, and then whenever you have the additional electrical signal, that means So there will be a generation of voltage within the structure due to the cracks which is initiated in the structure itself, and then so that will generate the electric signal that will be monitored in the system. So then we can able to identify. So there will be the damage within the structure, civil structure. So like that. So if there is any kind of structures, you can have some so number of patches are pasted in the structures, and then it will be connected with the online monitoring system, and then you can able to changes in the electrical signal which shows so there will be a damage or crack within the structure. So then in that way you can able to identify so those damage detections, and which is used in the civil structures, and so you can use it as a sensor material in the building structures, and then so the sensor can sense the voltage and send it to electric signal to the data acquisition system. Then it will be processed, and then it will give some alarm. So whenever then the electric signals go beyond the set value, automatically it will the alarm will on. So then you can able to know that so there will be a damage in the structure. So it may be either in the through the system, or directly can get the get to the mobile phone also. So then you have a lot of research work on this. So probably so the people are using the online monitoring system by using the data acquisition system. So that now you can use it as use the IoT concept, and then you can develop such app for getting the SMS or some intimations when we have some there is a damage that is identified in the buildings. So in that way we can work on that. That is why I told that even it is a civil engineer or the mechanical engineers or electrical engineer, we should know about the basic engineering courses about from the all faculties like mechanical, civil, electrical, computer, like that, so that you can connect your field, your core field into the other appliances. So here this mobile getting the information to our mobile is not a job of the computer science engineer or IT engineers. You can also able to learn the programming languages, and also you can be able to apply the IoT concept, and then you know very well about the structures and the functioning of the sensors and all. So then you can able to connect those areas into getting the SMS or any information when you identify the damage detection in the civil structure or any in the mechanical these things also. Then you take something like a sugar industry. So you have the what is called rotary equipments are there. So then the rotary, you can use some smart materials to identify the rotation, right rotation path about the rotary machines. So if any vibration eccentricity is there, and then automatically due to the eccentricity vibration will generate, and then the vibration, once the vibration is created in the mechanical system, so the piezoelectric element which will get strained, then you will get the electric signal, so that you can able to identify there will be a more vibration. That means beyond the set value of the vibration. So based on that, you can able to identify the system is malfunctioning. So then online monitoring system also you can do that. So health monitoring in the wear detection in the train wheels. You see that so nowadays we are talking about the bullet trains and all, and then if there is any small crack is initiated in the train wheel, and then by naked eye we cannot able to see clearly. So then for that what we can do that then you can use the piezoelectric patches. So the piezoelectric patches on the wheels, and then so whenever there is a crack is initiated within the wheels, so there will be a large vibration, or there will be a stress changes in within the system. So that will create the electrical signal through the piezoelectric element. So then through the sensor you can able to identify. So there will be a crack is initiated in the train wheels. So this also you can connect with then the online monitoring system. Then how to connect with the online monitoring system is once the electric signal is generated through the piezoelectric element, and then that can be use the Wi-Fi concept, and then automatically So it will send the SMS to the driver, or it send the SMS to the stations. So like that, we can able to develop a technology, and then so that we can avoid the accidents or the breakdowns of the very high fastest trains. So then in future, maybe we are going to use very fast trains like bullet trains and then metro trains like that to reduce the travel time. So during that time, it will be very much useful for we are going to use the online health monitoring system in the various components in the trains. So this is the concept we are applying on that for the wear reduction on the train wheels. So then next part is the energy harvesting. The street tiles, I already told that you can lay down the what is called piezoelectric elements on the crosswalk, then you can able to generate generate the electric potential, and then it will be stored in the storage cell. So similarly, the energy harvesting talk about the how to generate the potential from the wastewater. So here, so you see that when you are going to conduct the marathon, so then there will be a large number of people are participating in the marathon. If you have something like a floor somewhere around some 5 kilometers or say 6 kilometers, and then the tile is laid, then that small tiles is laid on the streets. So then, whenever we walk or when we are running on the street, and then it will generate the electric potential because the piezoelectric element is already incorporated in the tiles. So then, when you are going to modify the tiles by incorporating the piezoelectric material, that is a smart material within it. So it may be laid down in the streets, or it may be laid down in the tracks in the ground. So whenever the people are using the streets or tracks and for running purpose, and then you can able to generate the electric potential. So this is one kind of the energy harvesting, and so wherever you have such a kind of exciting places, something like a vibrating places are there, you can use these smart materials to harvest the energy. So it may be stored in the as that is a storage cell. Later on, you can use for the low voltage equipment such as a street light and the vending machines. So the other kind of the smart material is the safe memory alloy. So the example for the safe memory alloy is a nitinol wire, so which is the combination of nickel and the titanium, and the ratio of 45% and the 58%. And so when you compare with the normal, you take some nitinol wire and you compare with the normal wire. So this wire have some additional quality. So whenever the material have some additional quality with the, compared with the conventional material, then it will be called as the smart material. So by the way, the safe memory alloys, what will happen is, so this is the metallic alloy to undergo the solid to solid phase transformation when exhibit large recoverable strains like a nitinol. So when you heat the material from the martensitic phase, the reverse phase transformation all takes place, and as a result, the material transfers to austenite. So what will happen is this wire may be pre-shaped, and then when we are going to heat the material, then it will come to the original shape. So the transformation takes place from martensite to the austenite, or austenite to martensite. So when you are going to apply the temperature heating and it is transformed from the martensite to the austenite, and then when it is cold, then from martensite to austenite to martensitic phase it will transform. So this is what we are going to. You see that in the top figure, that it is a nitinol wire, and then you can bend it to any shape, okay, and then drop it to the cold water. So what will happen is, when you are pulling this wire, then it will cold it, and then again you are taking into the hot water, and then it will regain to its original shape. This is the original shape. Okay, and then after that, then this wire is bent into any shape, and then put it in the cold condition, and then when you are going to, this is now it is the what is called, structural changes will happen within the material. Once you increase the temperature of the retinal wire, then automatically it will regain the original shape. So where it can be used, then probably wherever you have the space constrained, so in that place, then you can use these concepts. Shape memory alloy materials can be used. So then how it can be used? You see that something like this stem for holding the camera. So in the space station we are taking the satellite, and so there is a space constraint in the payload areas. So there you can use this that is shape memory alloys, and you can bend it into any shape, and then you make it as a small component, and then you put it in the payload, and then once it is reached to the destination, and then so based on the environment, and then it will regain its original shape. So you can reduce the space. So these kind of applications you can use these shape memory alloys, and then after whether it may be temperature is increased, or it may be heating or cooling. So based on the applications, then you can make it as a small component, and the regain to the original shape once the destination is reached. So this is what we are going to use. Then it plays very large strain, that is 5 to 8% strain rate is observed in the retinal wire. So you see the another application, okay, and you have the robotic arm, and then you have the shape memory wires incorporated in the robotic arm. So then when you apply the small electrical current on the retinal wire, so then there will be a shape changes. Then you can have something like folding, or then expanding the fingers. So the functionality of the SMA is really depend on its composite, the percentage of nickel and the titanium elements. So then when you are going to make a composite, a small composite, so the percentage of varying by the percentage of nickel and titanium elements, and then you can use it for your desired applications. So these are all the other kind of applications which is used for the shape memory alloys. Your aerospace applications you can use it. Okay, and then so then in the aerospace applications you can use it for the flap flip, and then the dentist they are using these kind of wires. Okay, and then the self-expanding stent, and then bone staple, and then robotic application you can use it, and then you can use it as for the damper, shape memory alloy dampers, and then the eyeglass frame. So even you can make it round the glass frames, and then it will regain original shape based on the environment. And the SMA thin film and the MEMS application you can use it, and then art application you can use it. So these are all the various applications which is incorporated by the shape memory alloys. The another material is magnetorheological materials. Then you have the liquid, and in the liquid state, then particles, the magnetic particles are immersed in the liquid. And then whenever you apply the magnetic potential, then so what will happen is the particles are reoriented, and then make it as a solid structure. So these magnetorheological materials are used in the MR damper, magnetorheological fluid damper, and so when the absence of the magnetic field, then it will be in the liquid form. So when you are going to apply the magnetic field, then the particle which is immersed in the liquid or reoriented, then it will form a solid surface. And so when you remove the magnetic field, automatically it comes to the normal state. So it is used in the magnetorheological fluid damper. Similarly, electrorheological fluid materials also called as the smart materials, and that is the electrorheological fluid. So there, what the only difference is in the magnetorheological materials, we are applying the magnetic field, and in the electrorheological materials, we are going to apply the electric field. Once you apply the electric field, the particles which is immersed in the liquid will reorient and make a solid structure. So that is what the difference between the magnetorheological or electrorheological materials. So which is used for the damper. So based on the damping value, you can apply the either magnetic field for the MR damper or electric field for the ER damper. So it is based on your application, and so based on that you are going to apply the quantity of magnetic field or electric field with respect to your needs. Next material is chromogenic materials, and these materials can change their color with respect to the electrical, optical, or thermal values. Okay, so when with respect to the temperature, the color change occurs within the material. So those materials are called as thermochromic materials. And so based on the light, and it is changing this color, it is called as the photochromic materials. So this may be used in the glasses. Okay, so maybe it is a sun glass, or then the glass in the building which is used in the buildings. And so based on the intensity of the light, and then the color, whether the transparency changes to the dark one. And so whenever you apply the electric voltage, and then if there is a change in the color, and then these materials are called as electrochromic materials. So thermochromic materials, you see that so thermochromic materials have reaction to the temperature. So with respect to the external temperature, environment temperature. So there will be tiny capsules in the thermochromic ink contain the liquid crystals, and that so based on the temperature changes, the crystals will move. So based on the movement of the crystals, so there will be a reorientation of the crystals, and then causes the changes in the color. So here you see that the t-shirt, so based on the body temperature, and then the contact with the body with the higher temperature, automatically it changes the color. And also then there will be a strip also can be used to identify the temperature of the human body. So you see that this strip is used on the head, and then it can able to identify the body temperature of the based on the color. So so that is a predetermined color will be there for a particular temperature. So with that, the change of the color which indicates the body temperature. And you see here, there will be a Shobha, and so based on the body temperature, there is a changes in the color. So here it is used the thermochromic materials. You see here some small video. There are 3 cups are there, and then with a different thing. And then if you pour with the hot water, so you see that there is a changes in the color of outer surface of the that is utensil. Here you see that there is a changes in the color with respect to the temperature. Next, photochromic materials. So the photochromic material causes them to undergo the reversible changes of the color when exposed to a certain amount of light. So the photochromic lenses become dark when they are exposed to UV radiation. So then once the UV radiation is removed, automatically then the material return to their normal state. And so it is made of either glass or the plastic. The applications are, you can use it as a lens, or this may be used as in the paints. Based on the temperature, that is light, based on the light, and then the color of the paint will change, and then use this and the dyes and cosmetics and clothing. You see here, this is the indoor, this completely transparent material, glass material. And then so you have something like a mid light. You see that there is a changes in the color, so slightly darkened. And then in the outdoor with the higher temperature, that is a higher light, and then is completely darkened. So these are all the different phases based on the light intensity. The electrochromic materials, it is changes the color with respect to the applied electric field. So here see that used in the smart windows. So probably you see here there is a different layers are there, and you have then there is a conductor and a tiny materials. So there is ion storage and the conductor electrolyte. So there are different layers are there. When you apply the electric field, so then there will be changes in the color. You see here 20% that is darkened. Here this is a 100% darkened. Okay, now. So these color changes based on the electric. This here, so very low electric field is applied to get the 20%. If you apply higher electric field, then completely darkened, 100% darkened. Then there is a changes in the glass property. So the transparency of these windows changes depending on the voltage applied across the window, and the less voltage that is applied across the window, the more transparent it is. So far we have seen the smart materials. I am given only the some applications, then where it is used. So based on that, you can identify some potential applications. Then how these smart materials can be used to do the research. So that is what we have to do that. So that is what I have presented here. What are all the applications of the smart materials, and then where it is used for the energy harvesting or something like in the windows with the different smart materials. So based on that, you can identify or you can observe the real world problems in the outside. So whenever you come across, and you think of how these materials can be utilized for the further improvement or further research, and then how it will be useful for our day-to-day life. So then based on that, these materials can be thought of, and then that so scope for the research work with the materials, and you can develop a advanced materials also, customized materials also, because the conventional materials cannot be altered. So when you are going to use the composite materials, then based on your requirement, and then you can tailor the material properties, and then you can manufacture the composite materials, because here the only challenge is the manufacturing techniques. It is very difficult to manufacture the composite materials based on your need, that is tailored material properties, because the conventional materials, making steel is very easy, okay, and you can get something like a molten state, and then whatever the state you want, you can solidify it, and then you can able to get it. But whereas the composite materials, it is not like that, because the material property itself, it is changing. The conventional materials, that is called as isotropic materials, you have the material properties are same in all three directions. But whereas in the composite materials, you have the material properties different in the different directions. So probably if you want to have something like a 1-2 direction, you want to have same materials property, and the third direction you want different material property. That can be done by tailoring the material properties, and then using appropriate manufacturing methods of composite materials. You can do that, because here the composite materials are combination of the two or more materials. Okay, so combination of two materials. If it is two or more, and then it will be called as the hybrid material, composite materials. Okay, so here sometimes there are three types of composite materials are there. The metal matrix composite materials, and ceramic matrix composite, polymer matrix composite materials. So it is based on what kind of materials you are going to combine together. So here one is the fiber, another one is the matrix materials. And these two materials are combined together, and you can able to get the what is called composite materials by using different manufacturing methods are there. One is hand layer method, and then compression molding, and so pultrusion. There are so many methods are available, or based on your application, based on your needs, and then what kind of material properties are you need, and then so which method is feasible to manufacture your required materials. So based on that, you can choose the materials and the methodology to manufacturing methods to make the composite materials. Because making the composite material is a big challenge nowadays. So So then we have to lot effort we have to put it, and then we have to see that how easily you can able to manufacture the material. So this matrix material is a light material, less strength material, and then the fiber is the reinforced material in the composite, so that you can able to increase the strength, and also you need to reduce the weight. So you take the automobile applications, and then you want to reduce the mileage. So then you want to increase the mileage. Then you want to have some more kilometers, and you are going to use per liter of petrol or diesel, whatever fuel you want to use. And so for achieving those the mileage, and then we want to reduce the weight. So that is the ultimate aim. Then we are replacing the conventional materials which is having a more weight, and replace it with the composite materials that is same strength or more strength but lesser weight. So the strength to weight ratio is higher in the composite material when compared to the conventional materials, and so based on that we need to have some, you can get the materials, composite materials. So that is the advantage. So in the aerospace applications, and then nowadays the people are replacing the composite conventional materials with the composite materials. There are a lot of research scope is available working on the composite materials, and then there are a lot of problems also involved in that. Here there will be a, when you are going to have composite material, machining itself, it is a large area. Machining of, hello? So machining of composite material is not an easy task. Similarly, there will be some fiber pull out when you are going to machine the composite material. So then we need to identify some techniques. To optimize the machining techniques. So in the mechanical engineering, and then you have a lot of research scopes are available. And so this next topic is I'm going to cover the natural fibers, because so our research team is working on the natural fibers, and so I will throw some light on how the natural fiber composite materials are how the fibers are extracted, and then how the natural fiber composites are used in the engineering applications. So in the top of this figure, you see that these are all the reinforcement wires. These are all the metals. Okay, so these metals can be replaced with the synthetic fibers. Okay, so something like a polypropylene, glass fiber, carbon fibers. So these can be reinforced in the matrix material, and we can manufacture the composite materials. So in the steel wires, the example for using these steel wires, simple example is the concrete. So in the concrete, and then we are using the steel as a reinforcement, and then matrix material is the what is called the cement, and the that is a mixture. So here these are all the synthetic fibers. Still, these synthetic fibers are it is not environmentally free. Again, it is polluting the environment. So for that, then we are replacing with the natural fibers, which is a biodegradable one. So this will not affect the environment. So over the period, it will be degraded. So it is not like a synthetic fiber and the metal reinforcement. But so then sometimes we are not able to get the properties, very strong mechanical properties, when we are going to use the metals, or when we are going to use the synthetic fibers. But these natural fibers have only the low strength materials, and then this can be used wherever you don't have the load bearing capacity. So then we are not, so in the load bearing capacity, wherever the place you are having the higher load is applied, something like moving materials to each other, then we are not using this natural fiber. But whereas the other places you are able to use the natural fiber, so that you can use this when we are going to use this natural fiber composite materials, it is a environmentally pollution-free composite materials. So this natural fiber, when used as a reinforcement, it is compete with the technical fibers as a glass fiber, and these technical fibers advantages are you have the good mechanical properties for the glass fiber, but the disadvantage is difficulty in the recycling process. And the most important natural fibers are jute planks and coir, which reaches the mechanical properties of the glass fiber composites, almost equivalent to the what is called the technical fibers. But then still then you have the lesser strength when you compare with the technical fibers. So the natural fibers are renewable raw materials and they are recyclable. So that is the only advantage, and then it is a biodegradable, then it will not pollute the environment. So then we are using the natural fiber composite wherever it is possible. So how to get the natural fibers? And then the plants and trees are producing roughly around 10 power 11 to 10 power 12 tons of cellulose per year. This is completely waste now. We are not utilizing these kind of cellulose materials in our materials then it is abundantly available cellulose materials, but it is not utilized in the best way. So these cellulose fibers has potential to reinforce with the polymer matrices. Okay, so again, when you are going to use the polymer matrices, it is not a bio materials. Then for that you can use these matrix bio matrix composite material, matrix material for the natural reinforcement, which will be completely environmentally free. So in the recent years, researchers have explored the potential of fibers extracted from the sources like abaca, coir, flax, hemp, jute, sisal, etc. to use in the real time. So these kind of fibers identified and characterized as on date is not sufficient to meet out the growing demand of the industry. So then you have a lot of opportunity to work on natural fiber reinforced composite materials. So because again the manufacturing itself it is very difficult for the natural fiber reinforced composite materials. So then you can able to identify the suitable extracting method and then suitable manufacturing method of natural fiber reinforced composite materials to meet out the industry requirements. So then our research team works in the different natural fibers to extract and characterize the lignocellulose fiber from the bark tree and investigated the transformation in the characteristics of the fiber in relation with the stem maturity and analyze the changes incurred in the structural and the surface properties of a fiber exposed to alkali treatment, and then we have analyzed the fiber characterization based on the treated and untreated fibers, study the reinforcement effect of the natural fiber in epoxy composites, and also to optimize the key fabrication parameters. So that is also the another area difficulty involved in the fabric manufacturing of the natural fiber composites. The type of fibers which is used in our team are Prosopis julifera fiber and Copos nucifera fiber, Thespesia populinia fiber, Acacia leucopilia fiber. So these are all the another natural fibers like Aracia, banana, bamboo, hemp, jute, henna, palm. So then from the tree plant you can extract the fiber and be used as natural fiber in the composite material. So in our team worked with these kind of fibers like Prosopis julifera, Tamil it is called as Sime Karuvelam. Thespesia populnia poor it is a Tamil name, and Acacia leucopilia Velvela maram. These three fibers. So fiber is extracted from the plant and characterized and then analyzed based on the treated untreated fibers, and then it is reinforced in the composite materials and evaluated the mechanical tribological properties of the natural fiber reinforced composite materials. So the structure of the plant fiber is looks like this: the primary wall, secondary wall, and then you have the amorphous lignin pectin and semicellulose, and then crystalline cellulose. So based on that, we are worked on the natural fibers and extracted, and then reasonably it will give good mechanical properties wherever you don't have something like a load bearing capacity. Okay, so those examples also will be shown in, and so the classification of biocomposites are the green composites and partially eco-friendly composites. So this is why I told that green composite, all the elements are from renewable sources. If you can that make it as the matrix material and then use it for the natural fiber reinforced composites. So this is a green composite. Partly eco-friendly. So man-made or synthetic fiber plus biopolymer matrix, which is used for manufacturing the natural fiber reinforced composites, and then natural fiber plus petroleum derived non-biodegradable matrix. So these are all partly eco-friendly. Okay. And then types of natural fiber reinforcement, then you have the particles or it may be a fiber. And then if you are using the fiber as the reinforcement, it may be a continuous fiber reinforcement or chopped fiber reinforcement. If you are using the continuous fiber reinforcement, it will be aligned in the one dimensional or two dimensional. Or if you are using the chopped fibers, and then it may be aligned or random oriented within the composite material. If it is aligned, it may be used in the 1D. Okay, so if you are using the 1D, it is a non-woven, and then if you are using it as a 2D, so it may be a longitudinal transverse direction reinforcement, or it may be something like a mat, woven mat. Maybe you can fabricate it, and then those woven mats may be reinforced in the composite materials to get the required material properties on the direction. So the natural fiber composite selections are based on the natural fiber property and polymer and what kind of matrix material you are going to use, the properties of the matrix material, and then characterization of the composite material, and the performance of the composite material, and then the specific composite performance. So these parameters you need to consider for our selection of the natural fiber composite selection. So then how the fibers are used in the composites? You see this raw material, it may be from the plant like flax, hemp, or any other plant. So from that you can take those layers of from the plant, and then you can prepare the fibers based on the different extraction methods. You can prepare the fiber. So once you get the fiber from the plant, and then it can be formed as a mat. Okay, so something like a 2D reinforcement mat, and then you can use some binders for the good adhesion between the matrix material and the fiber surface of the fiber, and then you can drying, and then semi-finished goods, something like this is a pre-purse. Okay, so you can use it as a make it as a pre-purse. After that, these pre-purse may be used in the compression molding machine to make the desired shape. Okay, so this is the raw material. Up to this semi-finished goods, it is raw material. Complete raw material is the plant, and then the semi-finished goods are the pre-purse. So the pre-packs are these seeds, rectangular seeds. We can store it in the in the storage place. So whenever you want, based on your application, these pre-packs, that is the semi-finished goods, are used in the compression molding machine with the proper die based on your shape which is required, and then the finished parts are completed. And then these finished parts, based on that, then you have the fiber based modular part. So here, so these natural fiber reinforced composite materials, it may be used in the car door panel. Inside panel member, you can use it as these natural fiber composite materials, because these door panels will not have any load bearing, that is load bearing applications, because we are not going to apply any load on the frame, that is the door panels. So door, instead of using the metals, then we replace with the composite materials. So now these composite materials is not degradable material, which again it is affecting the environment. So for recycling products, then we are going to use the natural fiber reinforced composite materials as a or door panel. So once it is lifetime is over, and then it is easy to degrade it and then recycle it, and then you can use it in the other applications. So these are all the another applications of the natural fiber composite materials. You see here dashboard mat, and then a rear truck upper hood, and then this is the rear truck mat, and then this is the floor mats in the car, and this is the main floor carpet and luggage mat, and then a rear truck carpet, and then this is the door panels. So and then you can use it as a seat carpet, and so these are all applications for the natural fiber reinforced composite materials. So all these materials which will not take the load in the car. So it is only give the shape and then to give the visible pleasant finishing of the covers. So wherever you use the mat or wherever you use the door panels, so then we will not apply any load on these components. So then we can comfortably use the natural fiber reinforced composite materials for all these products rather than using the composite materials, which will be more harmful to the environment. When you dispose those composite materials, it is harmful to the environment. So this is degradable. Still, you can use biodegradable composite materials, natural fiber reinforced composite materials for all these products. Okay, so the compared with the manufacturing methods, so the natural fiber composite materials used in that is manufactured is the more percentage. So that is more convenient for manufacturing the natural fiber reinforced small components. So the injection molding method, 32% of the product is used by the injection molding product. So whereas the other applications are very less percentage. Then again you can use the composite materials in the drones. So these drones are familiar nowadays. I think during this COVID-19 challenging period due to COVID-19, you see everywhere the drones are used to monitor the surveillance by the government and private individuals, surveillance and law enforcement, search and rescue. Also, then we are using these unmanned aerial vehicle, and the armed attacks we can use it. And then you take the marriage function also, you can see that taking the videos and pictures, and then we are using the drones. This unmanned composite market has been segmented in the following categories, like one is unmanned aerial vehicle UAV, unmanned ground vehicle UGV, unmanned surface vehicle USV, autonomous underwater vehicle AUV, and remotely operated vehicle, autonomous ship, and then passenger drone. So the currently drones have an increasingly important role in the future of aviation, especially in the military applications. So whereas we can use the waste materials from the styrofoam or bacchus or excel can be used as an alternative material for the drone frames here. So initially we may be used the drone frames as a conventional steel material, and then it is replaced with the composite materials, and then once you use the composite material, the weight of the drone is completely reduced compared with the conventional material. So that is one achievement. Then another achievement, if you are going to use if you are going to use the natural fiber reinforced composite frames, again the only one advantage is it is a biodegradable material, then it will not give any harmful to the environment. The other thing also, that based on the natural fibers availability, the cost of the product may be reduced, because the synthetic fibers cost more. Okay, so when we are going to use the glass fiber, the rate of glass fiber is very huge, and then compared with the cost of the natural fibers. Only thing is the proper extraction methods and then right fibers can be used to fabricate these kind of drone frames, and which can be effectively utilized in the drone field, because this is an emerging field now. So the drone frames and the blades also can be manufactured through the natural fiber reinforced composites, and the use of additive manufacturing technique. So because I told that the manufacturing of the composite materials is a big challenge, because even though if you have many methods are available, but it is a complex technique to manufacture the composite materials. So now the emerging field is the additive manufacturing techniques. And to the 3D printing technologies, now it is booming now. For any kind of materials or any, even the building also 3D printed nowadays. Maybe you have seen the news or some other sources. And then the building also can be 3D printed. So the 3D printer, metal 3D printers are there, ABP metal material 3D printers are there. So with those techniques, then such as fused deposition modeling and laser sintering in conjunction with the composite material is going to permit the development of more effective drones for security and the military purposes. So because nowadays the people are identifying the right material for the 3D printer, then to manufacture the different composite materials using the 3D printing technology under the additive manufacturing techniques. So you see that this is the metal printer, this is a desktop metals. So this is a fiber reinforced 3D printer. So this is a young technology, but you have a lot of scope. You can work on that to develop the 3D printer techniques, manufacturing techniques, then softwares. So again, I told that here, as a mechanical engineer or any other then faculties. So probably if you want to develop something, again it is a combination of the different fields. Now, so the frames and the other components are even it is mechanical engineering. So now to manufacture the any product, then you should have some interface, because and then you need to model the component. Okay, so then you have to convert the slice file into using the suitable software to feed into the 3D printer. So then again here you want to learn the computer programming, and then you want to know the modeling software, analysis software again, and then the manufacturing field is involved here. So this 3D printing is a slice by slice printing method which is used, and so it is a young technology. Then you have a lot of scope, but one with huge, largely untapped potential area, which is a 3D printing technique. You can work on work on that. You can come up with a suitable low cost and then optimized 3D printers. So composite 3D printing will grow into a really nearly $10 billion business within the next decade, a significant growth opportunity to say the least. So benefits are the ability to streamline and cut the cost of traditional composite manufacturing. So in the traditional composite manufacturing involves a huge cost in manufacturing the composite materials. So this is the 3D printer may be a potential area to manufacture the composite materials. So the 3D printing, on the other hand, enables the manufacturing process to be automated, since the entire process is driven by the software and requires manual input only at the post-processing stage. So once the product is over, so then only the manual intervention is required. So otherwise it is completely automated. So it is a very good emerging field to connect with doing some research and then developing the materials, and then developing the suitable 3D printing machines. So a lot of scope is available for it. Now this artificial intelligence is now connecting with the 3D printing techniques. See, so in the initial stage itself, I told that the national important courses we need to study. So that too, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. These are the machine learning and the deep learning is the subset of the artificial intelligence. So so this artificial intelligence is not only for the computer science or IT field. So, but these are AI now playing the major role in all the fields. So then how it is contributing into the mechanical engineering. So that is what. So this artificial intelligence is working on based on the previous data, and then based on the previous data, you can develop the AI algorithm, and then based on the algorithm, once you give the input and then develop with the developed algorithm, you can able to get the output. So that is like it is like a thinking of human brain. So machine is thinking like a human brain. So it will automatically give the optimized value for based on your applications. Okay. So here, so then how the artificial intelligence in the BMW Group production is used? One is something like. So here I have not put the slide related to the what is the title. So what happened is in the BMW they are using since 2018. They will capture the images, which is located each and every component in the car. Okay, and so what will happen is then it is the data are recorded, and then the algorithm is developed, and then once the image taken from the assembled car, and then the images are compared with the original one and identify whether the component is fixed in the right place. Okay, so if that logo is like BMW logo is printed in the backside, and so then the image is captured from the camera, and those images compared with the existing algorithms, and then it will show whether it is placed in the right place. Okay, so it is this manual checking is cumbersome, and then you need continuous monitoring, and then there will be a human error. So maybe sometimes it will occur, and so there will be a fault in the production line system. So because it is a continuous production, and so then to remove the human errors, and then this AI is used, and then so to identify the component which is fitted in the right place. So in that way, then the BMW they are using the production line to identify the components which is fitted in the right place. And also then you have the high strength parts, including the ball joint 3D printed from continuous carbon fiber reinforced nylon. So now the people are talking about only the ABB material products, and then later on it comes like a metal printer, and then now it is coming on the 3D printer for the composite materials. Okay, so then even if composite materials can be 3D printed based on your application, and it is only in the initial stage, and then we need to work on more to develop the complex composite products, and then with the optimized condition, optimized materials, and with based on the different parameters which is involved in the composite materials. The second one is shows that this is one of the drone component, which is the drone propeller. Okay, so this is also 3D printed using the carbon fiber, and so this 3D printed by the impossible objects. Okay, so they have the impossible object 3D printed they have, and then they have printed the drone propellers using the carbon fiber composite materials. And so how this artificial intelligence in the composite materials can be merged with that? You see, this is the industry 4.0. So the basically based on the mechanical engineering, and so this covered with the red line shows the 3D printing, and then advanced robotics, and we have big data analytics and IoT kind of things. Okay, so then we need to have knowledge on these areas, and to develop any system in future, and you should have the knowledge, and also, along with that also then artificial intelligence also, then it is more important nowadays. And then you see that the manufacturing sector, how it is connecting the different fields like the materials, robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, additive manufacturing, nano engineering, IIoT, industry internet of things, and the simulation tools which is used in that. See how this machine learning is the yellow line. It is something like what is called the machine learning incorporation. So this top one is a normal conventional procedure what we are using it. So then you have to have something like information about the materials, and the exports extract the structure and then property relationship, and then high throughout computational screening, and then from that designing the new material based on the learned knowledge, based on the experience. Again, you will test the material if the performance is not satisfied, and then based on the feedback and trial and error method, you can develop the new materials. So this is what we are doing, that when the AI comes into the picture, you see that design define design space and get the training data. So whatever the old data are available, then you have to collect all the data, and then you have to make the ML model to extract the structure and the property relationship based on the your old experience, and then feature of engineering, and then design the new materials based on the learned hidden parameters. So that this AI will give you the new material properties based on the developed algorithm, AI algorithm, which is by considering the old relevant data, and that will give some experience on that, and then based on that, then it will give the suitable material parameters. So based on that, then you have to test the materials, and if the performance is not satisfied, and then you can able to do that feedback system. That is a new training data is added here. So that means then you have different set of data are available with you. With one set of data, then you are developing the material, and then testing it, that are not satisfied. Then the other set of data may be used for developing the new material properties. So that is the ML concept, that is AI, that is algorithm which is used in the ML. So in this way, then we are incorporating the artificial intelligence into the developing of new materials in the field of mechanical engineering. So how AI is driving the discovery of composite materials? Recently developed 3 new types of metallic glass 200 times faster than the normal time needed to achieve the such an outcome. See that how it is used optimized. So it is 200 times faster than the normal time needed to achieve the outcome. The spacecraft and smartphones, in which there is a high demand for materials that are lighter and stronger than the steel. So we need to use those origin data, and you can develop the AI algorithm, okay, and you can get some optimized material properties for lightweight, which more stronger, strength wise it is very high. So then we have to develop based on the AI algorithm, and then which is more useful for the spacecraft and the smartphone nowadays. Then inputting into the computers the properties of existing materials. What are all the existing data can be used? The solidity, and then weight, reduction to the reaction to the heat, cold, stretching and compression, elasticity, compatibility with the other materials, and so on. So these kind of parameters, old parameters, can be given as an input into the developed AI algorithm to get the new material properties. So based on that, we have to manufacture the composite materials. Then program designed both to analyze the properties of the alloys entered into the database, and to virtually run the experiments on compounds that engineers would have performed physically in the test labs. Then whatever the algorithm we have developed, and then it should analyze the properties of the alloys entered into the database, and virtually run the experiments. That is what. And machine learning process, what is called, computer examines the outcome of its own theoretical experiments, learn from them, and feeds this data back into this program. And the algorithm selected a limited number of possible combinations to create new materials. So to produce the compounds suggested by AI in the lab with a view to testing and validating them to develop the new composite materials. So this is what the artificial intelligence is playing the role in the developing of composite materials in the field of mechanical engineering. So this is what that previously I told, that artificial intelligence in BMW group production. Then AI is raise the automatic production in the production line. Then they are going to use in the production line. and it has been used since 2018. And one focus is automated image recognition. So this is what the human error is eliminated when you are going to use the automated image recognition. The artificial intelligence evaluates component images in ongoing production and compares them in the milliseconds to hundreds of other images of the same sequence. That is important. It is a very quick process within milliseconds, very small milliseconds, and it compares with the hundreds of images, other images, and we give the results. Okay, so that is the advantage of AI when we are going to use the AI. AI application determines deviations from the standard in real time and checks, for instance, whether all required parts have been mounted and whether they are mounted in the right place. So this is what we are using. So thank you for your attention, and thank you very much. So I don't know whether I satisfied all the participants when I am going to present the research in mechanical engineering. So I think I hope all of you understand, because this is only the basic. I am not talking about any technical equations or mathematical modeling involved in developing the materials and in the mechanical engineering. So it is only the common what is called normally what we are using in the real world. So in our day-to-day life, then that I have taken, and then how those materials are used in our day-to-day life, and then with that how we can extend our research work into the developing of new composite materials, new materials and composite materials, and then how the 3D printing concept is used for developing the composite materials and to optimize the manufacturing methods, because manufacturing of composite material itself is a big challenge one, and how this artificial intelligence can be used for the developing of composite materials and then during the manufacturing. And so there are a lot of applications are available for when you are going to use the AI. So even if you are checking your mail, and so probably some 2-3 days back you may be searched some product in the Flipkart. Okay, so probably I want to buy something like headphone. Maybe I checked with different brands through the Flipkart website, and then after 2-3 days, and then I may be using something like a Gmail, and when I'm going to check the email in the side, you see that so different type of headset with the discounts may be displayed. So how all of a sudden it will come. So whatever the products you searched recently, so then with the lower rates, and then it is showing in your daily use of computers as an ad. So this is the basic concept which is used is AI here. So artificial intelligence is used, and then whatever the product recently you have searched, and then with the lower cost or discount or different products are related to those products also, it is displayed in your other applications. So that is what there are a lot of applications.
Hello. Sir. Sir, Kumaravel sir.
People do that.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
voice is not coming.
Sir, your voice is actually it's getting disconnected. Yes, sir. We can see you right now.
Sound is not coming.
The voice is not audible. Sir, unmute, sir. Please unmute, sir.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello,
Oh, yeah.
sir. Sir, my name is Shankar.
Okay.
Thank you very much for nice presentation. I am also a mechanical engineer, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir. And you have presented overall scenario these research areas.
Yes,
I am
sir.
also doing research in the materials, especially
Okay.
composite
Okay.
materials. Sir,
Okay.
sir, one small doubt actually I am having.
Okay.
Sir, tell me the exact difference between alloy and composites.
Hello.
Sir, he is asking difference between alloy and composite, sir.
Okay, alloy and composite materials, right? You have the composite materials, you have the material properties in the different directions with the different values. Okay, and so the combination of two different materials, it is not amalgamated, but alloy, it is completely mixed. These properties are completely mixed, but it is not something like two different phases will not be exist in the alloys. Whereas in the composite material, you have the two different phases like a matrix material or reinforcement material.
But sir, sometimes the reviewers writing, see, actually I am preparing for polymer composite and
Okay.
there's some editors or reviewers writing that its name should be alloy, polymer alloy, not composite, but others not writing like that. So there is a confusion. So how to convey
No,
this?
no, it is not an alloy. When you are going to use the polymer matrix composite,
Yes.
so you have reinforced this one material, then use the matrix material as another material, then you should not be called as the alloy.
Actually, it
That
should
is
not be
wrong.
called as alloy. Actually, I got a comment from Willy Journal. They have written that it should
Uh-huh.
be alloy. It is not composite like that. Polymer composite. The journal name is polymer composite. Okay.
But it is not like
So
that.
it should not be like that. And sir, one more question. See, sir, for the what you told about the smart materials, okay.
Okay.
Uh, any normal material or conventional material can it be converted into smart materials by using coatings or like that?
Yeah, that is smart structures. It is. It may be called as a smart structures. I told that you have the base material, and this smart material can be pasted as a patches. Even you take the piezoelectric material, can be pasted as a small patch on the base material. Then you can have electrodes in the piezoelectric material. Then you can get the electric potential. Similarly, you can use another material like a magnetostatic materials also there. So then there it will generate only the magnetic field. Then now what I have done the numerical work is in my PhD program. There you have a separate piezoelectric material and magnetostrictive materials. Then I combine together. So the piezoelectric material will generate only the electric field when you are going to apply the mechanical load. Whereas in the magnetostrictive material, you will get the magnetic field when you are going to apply the load. But when you are going to combine together, and then what will happen? So you will get the electric field and magnetic field simultaneously. Okay, so that numerical work I have done, but not experimentally, and then it is very difficult that those facilities are not available right now for doing those research. But you also do it numerically. I'm written the code in the Fortran programming, because why I have used the Fortran programming is you can use the ANSYS. Either you can use only the piezoelectric material you can analyze, or magnetostatic material you can analyze. So you cannot use both coupling. So coupling between the piezoelectric and magnetoelectric material cannot be used in the ANSYS. So I have written the computer programming and incorporated those couplings and then analyzed it. So then like that you can use in the base material as a layers coating, that is a smart structures. You can use it.
Sir, one more question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, about the 3D printed objects, okay.
Okay.
In the conventional anything, suppose we are making by cutting operations like lathe, so they are actually strength is more. But if you prepare something by 3D printing, so the objects
Okay.
are actually strength is less, sir. What I think. What is your argument about it?
Yeah, yeah. 3D printing still it is under research only, because the prototype we are doing that. Comfortably we are doing the prototype, but the actual components when you are going to manufacture it, still we need to work more on that, and then we have to see that. Yeah.
Strength is actually not achieved because it is layer by layer manufacturing. No, strength
Yeah,
is
yeah. But I am not also not much aware of 3D printing on the for the that presentation. I have gone through some concept. I done it, but still based on my observation reading for the past 2 days, and then still that is why I told that 3D printing of composite materials in the young stage. So we need to work on that more, and so because now that metal printer is coming now, and then we have to still work on more on that, and then we have to see that how best you can able to increase the strength. So maybe it is 5 years or 10 years down the line, the people may achieve it. And then that is also is one of the opening area for the research. Additive manufacturing is the part of it.
Give me one suggestion. Actually, I am working in biomaterials for the human joints. So, any suggested journal from your side, sir? Journal, SCI journal.
SCI journals, maybe I have to look into that. Some couple of my friends are working on the biomaterials, biocomposite materials. So probably maybe you can put it your contact details in the chat box. Then in future I may contact you.
I will contact you, sir. Definitely. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions from the participants? Sir, I think there is no questions, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
okay.
actually, okay, sir. The session was very useful to us, and it was very easy to understand for from all the backgrounds, sir. Actually,
Okay.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inputs for this virtual course, sir. Thank you so much. On behalf of KSRCT Biotechnology Department and NSF, I thank Dr. Kumaravel, sir, for his splendid support to this event and to this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Once
Sir.
again, I thank your HOD, Dr. Philip Robinson and Dr. P. Ponmurugan, Bharatiyar University, and Maithili Madam. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Participants can leave right now. Tomorrow we have two important sessions regarding article writing and project feasibilities, ethics and regulatory approvals. And for article writing, we have an eminent
Hello,
personality.
madam.
Yes, sir.
Madam, actually, I have one request. Actually, I want the money receipt register.